Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Chris and Tammy Jengra here, coming to you live from Toronto, Canada. For the moment, in a few months, we'll be back in Daytona Beach, Florida. And it's always a privilege for us to have the opportunity to go to Florida during the winter. We just don't do winters anymore. Would you agree, Tammy? So, hey, folks, listen, we want to welcome you to this training session here this morning. And we believe that this training is a very important segment. As a matter of fact, what Tammy and I are planning to do is once the recording is there, we're going to start creating segments. And these segments will be available through the board where people will be able to get small segments, snippets of 1 minute here, 2 minutes there, 2 minutes there, 3 minutes there, that will explain each segment so they can get a better understanding on each segments of the compensation plan. And but before we begin, let's start recognizing everybody that's here this morning. Lou, thank you. Thank you for being here nice and early. Really appreciate your feedback. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Let's see here. Who else do we have? We have Ramat Chadra. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I apologize if I didn't. Welcome. We have Craig. Welcome. Great to have you here. Angelina, welcome. By the way, folks, if you see my head turning around, I got a couple screens where my things are spread out. So that's what's going on. Let's see here. We have Twisty. Welcome. Great to have you from Nigeria. We have Jati. Welcome. Enionam, congratulations. I know you just hit platinum. So that's I know. Sorry, Sapphire. Is it Sapphire or platinum? My God, I lose track. I think it's Sapphire. I'm losing track here. I just posted your your recognition there. So congratulations. Well done. Let's see here. We have Anne from Ontario. Welcome, Anne. How are you? Guylaine, bonjour. C'est un plaisir de vous avoir parmi nous. Bonsoir, bonjour, Sylvie. Ça va bien? We have Raymond from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'll try to say that 3 times in a row. Well done. We have Renee. We have Tope. Well done. We have Kim from Florida. Welcome, Kim. We have Flora from Belgium. Great to have you here. Really appreciate your feedback also in your comments. Francis, welcome. We have Jeffrey. We have Bobby. We have Jack. We have Lori. We have Windsor from Quebec. Welcome. We have Gideon. By the way, Gideon, I did speak with your sister. She's doing wonderful. She is looking in, and he's looking in Nigeria. So welcome. She's in the US, I believe, right? We have here Larry. We have Tessa. We have David. We have Dana. We have Ezekiel from the UK. Oh, this is absolutely wonderful. We have Darren. We have Lucie Caron de Quebec. Bonjour, Lucie. We have Evans from Tamagana. We have Yvonne from the UK. We have Eric. We have Richard. We have Kelly. We have Elaine and Toppy. I think I didn't mention your name already, from Nigeria. Welcome. So Tammy, is there a few words you want to share before I start sharing the screen here?
Yeah, I want to share that what you're learning today might seem like a foreign language. I know the first time we looked at it, I had to read it at least 4 times, and we're still learning in the process. And so understand that it takes time to understand the whole comp plan. So don't get in that overwhelmed mode and shut down, because a lot of people shut down when it's too much information. And just learn the basics. And at the end of this training, it's going to be broken down into segments, as Chris said, so you can always go back and look at it again and have more of an clear understanding as you go up the ranks. That's when you're going to have the clear understanding, because you're going to be able to see your pay. You're going to be able to see the percentage and how it all breaks down. So today you're just going to hear the whole thing. You're going to get the whole buffet, but understand the simple strategy at the end of the training. Okay.
Okay. So let me start by sharing my screen. Here you are. Okay. So I want to show you, first of all, that what I'm sharing with you, it's not something I created. This is something that's available to every single one of us. So I'm in my back office right now. And if you scroll down, you'll notice here it says extra promo tool. If I click on that, okay, you have multiple language. Now, I understand there was I think Stéphane, I'm not sure if you're here with us, you were asking me if it was in French. I don't see the material in French at the moment. But I know that GotBackup is working diligently and keeping up with everything that's going on. There's so many things they're working on at the same time. But this is where I access the information. And also, I wanted to point out that Eve did a training that will actually parallel to this PowerPoint, which I'm doing here today. But I wanted you to hear it from our words and how Tammy and I process this information. And also, Eve talks about the line of enrollment tree. That's also a very good segment to listen to. Okay. You can see the other trainings that we do have access to. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on that just to show you that it's just exactly what we're doing for the training this morning. It's not something I created. Every single one of you have access to this. Okay. And I may just put the link to this on the comment section on our training segment. So, so from there, again, you go back, apologize. You go back to your back office, and from there, select extra promo tool. And from there, you have access to the compensation plan. And as Tammy stated here, folks, is listen, when you hear something for the first time, it's like Randy shared in one of his trainings when he did a 20-minute video on it, which is also available in our board. And also, Eve training is available on our board. My point in saying here is when you look at things for the first time, often it looks very foreign, and that's okay. And the process, what's important here is for you to absorb the information bit by bit. And this training, as Tammy stated, could be reviewed over and over and over and over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the PDF document from top to bottom, and we'll explain to you in our words how we are interpreting the compensation plan, which is one of the reasons why we've been able to stimulate a lot of people, to empower a lot of people, because they saw the big picture. And I've been listening to some comments that are out there from some folks that are not really familiar with the comp plan that might be complaining about how much money they're making. And it's because they're not understanding what they're looking at. They're looking at it from a very, very small point of view. They're not looking at a big picture on how this will turn into over time. Folks, I am not kidding. This is one of the most generous compensation plan, but at first it may not seem like so when it's foreign, especially when you have a small team coming in at the beginning. But folks, if you stay the course with this, understanding that data is the new oil, understanding that Dropbox took 7 years, and I'm not saying it's going to take us that amount of time. It took them 7 years to get into momentum, where today they have 800 million users. What GotBackup has done in less than a year with the GotBackup 2.0, with the enhanced compensation plan, with the new software that's been developed, that's constantly under development and under improvement. Could you imagine how this will evolve, especially with the AI capability of today as we keep moving forward? Folks, we have a company that owns all of this, debt free. The future is so bright. And this is something that many companies cannot brag about, but we can talk about this. So now let's talk about the compensation plan, because this is really the vision. So Tammy, let's start from this slide here, or I should say.
Yeah. So here is showing the different bonuses, and you've got 7 different bonuses. It says 8 different profit centers because you have the tier 1 and tier 2. You'll be either in one or the other. So you've got your customer acquisition bonus. You've got the tier 1 and tier 2 cycle earning bonus. Number 3, you have the cycle match bonuses. Number 4, the generational bonuses. Number 5, you have the dynamic compression on generation business. So you're going to see that in the slides, in the graphs. And number 6, the rank bonus pool. And number 7 is the leadership bonus. And on the next slide, Chris, you can move it to the next slide, is you have the grid. So you can see here on the left side, you see all the ranks from copper to black diamond. And on the top going across, you see the tier 1, tier 2, the generation, the dynamic compression, the matching check, the cap, the matching cap. You have the rank pool and the leadership. And you can see who qualifies based on the rank. We're going to keep this really simple, you guys. And through the presentation, you're going to see what you're going to get as you grow up into your ranks. Next slide.
Yeah, actually, as a reference here, folks, this is a bonus grid.
Yes.
It's kind of like stepping out and looking at your entire city and look at the big picture and look at the diameter of what's available to you, where you live, in matter of speaking. Okay, so this is what's going on here. So this is a reference for you to understand. Okay, here are all the different ranks, and here's all the different tiers of bonus available. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start defining step by step each of those bonus ranks, starting with the cab. Actually, Tommy, let's talk about the distribution, where the way that GotBackup is distributing the pie of that 75% payout allocation.
Yeah, so you can see here with this, the CAB, the customer acquisition bonus, 25% of that 75% goes into that pool. The cycle earnings and the matching, 37% goes into that pool. The generational and the dynamic compression, you can see in the resellers part of the revenue, it's 25%. And you have the rank pools. You can see it's 9% is divided between that, and you'll see because Chris is going to break that down for you. And then the leadership pool, there's 4% in there. So now you can see the breakdown of where the percentages are going and what you'll need to do as you grow into the ranks to be able to access those percentages to start earning even more. So I love the breakdown of the comp plan. So we have a total understanding where those percentages are going and where you need to spend the time working.
Absolutely. And folks, if you have some questions, and Tammy and I will take turns in reading them to make sure that we can address them. So let's say we're sharing something in one of the pages and you need some clarity there. And keep in mind, folks, that we can always kind of revise and go one-on-one with some of you if you really need some details here. But feel free to post them into the comment. We'll do our dear best to answer them in a timely manner. And if we don't answer it again, and you realize that a lot of comments have been posted, post it again so we can see it. Sometimes we tend to miss it, especially if there's a lot of comment coming in a row. Okay, so because it's just the two of us, and sometimes we're talking, we're obviously not looking at a comment. So just wanted to give you that as a reference. Now, the one thing I want to
questions, Chris, will be answered as we're going through each slide to really break it down. Yeah.
Here's another thing that's nice. This is a live session that's recorded right now as we speak on our YouTube channel. So right now, what you're watching, the link you're looking at from, this is your link. You can come back to watch that video again. If, let's say, you have some questions, post them into the comment section, right? And as a post comment, and then from there we can respond to them. And maybe some of you that actually may have the answer may choose to respond also, and we can create a wonderful thread of Q&As in the actual comment section, which that video will become so powerful because not only that segment is being shared today, but it could be a collaboration with all of you that really understand this, or will get to really understand this over time, that we'll start answering. So some of those questions, you'll see the threads are going to start going through, and it's going to be, again, an added part of the information of the string. And that's what's beautiful about the YouTube recording sessions that we have here. But the thing I want to bring out here when it comes to this slide is I need you guys to understand this. This is a percentage, not a static amount. If the company turns around and makes $100 million, you realize that 75% allocation is 750 million. Do you understand? Right? If it's 1 trillion, whatever, you understand my portion. It's 75% of the total amount. So if they make $1 million, then 750,000 is shared. If it's 100 million thousand, then it's 750,000. So it becomes really interesting how much is in store for you. So keep in mind, these are percentage. It's not a static amount. So if, let's say, you're saying, well, I'm not impressed with the amount that I got this month. This is month one. Month one. What's going to happen in month 10? What about in month 100, if you see my meaning? This is growing and growing and growing. And you have to think like an investor, not like a consumer. That's the difference. So as we share this compensation plan and as we keep elaborating, we want you to keep in mind that these numbers will grow as the numbers grow for the company. That's why the company's never going to lose a shirt in payout, like we've seen with so many network marketing companies out there that can afford paying their associates, or they can afford buying their supplements, right, to make it available for their people. Because what's happening is these amounts were outside of the scope of that percentage. This is a brilliant, brilliant plan that protects everybody for the long term. So let's carry on over here. So this, as you know, is available. The rank grid is available in your back office. Okay. So let me just go back to my GotBackup back office here. If I go in and I check on my business and I select, for example, my new comp plan rank. Okay. So I want you to see here that you can also have a reference here. Okay. That reference is right here. So let's go back to the PDF. This is what I'm looking at here. So what's happening is these are all the ranks, as Tammy shared earlier, from bronze all the way to black diamond. And what's happening is these are the requirements that you need to be aware of to grow. Now, this is, again, something I want you to understand. Some people are emerald complaining, well, I'm not making the money I thought I should be making. But if you only have 100 people on your team because you just hit emerald, you realize that your income may not be the same. Maybe that someone else had hit emerald, but maybe they have 1,000 members or 2,000 members or 3,000 members, right? There's a lot more numbers for them to collect. And you'll know what I mean when I talk about the compression bonus in a minute. So it's really interesting how relevant this is. So for example, let's talk about how do you move up in rank? Well, we highly recommend for you to qualify for the goal level. Why we want you to do that? It's because you start earning on some of the extra bonuses. Okay. And of course, as a platinum and as a sapphire, things gets a lot better. But for you to move up in rank, you need to have, first of all, as a bronze, that means you sponsored one person. As a copper, you sponsor one person on your left, one person on your right. If there's anything you get from this training today, this is what you have to retain. Every time someone new comes into your business, you need to sponsor, you need to recommend to them. Remember, that's not a dictatorship, right? It's a free army. Everybody can choose to do what they choose to do. But what we recommend for you to start right away is one person on your left, one person on your right. This is when you hit the level of copper. And if you duplicate this rank every time someone comes into your business, this is how you're going to move up. And let me show you why. So as a silver, how do you become silver? Well, you got right now sponsored two, one on the left, one on the right. You didn't do anything different from the copper, right? One on the left, one on the right. But now you've helped one person in your team to reach the level copper. And I'll talk to you the difference between enrollment tree and binary tree in a minute, so you see the difference, or the two-team tree. Okay? But look what's going on over here. It's all based on duplication. And if you're not happy with your income, it has to do with the duplication that's not occurring in your business. This is not a business where it's me, myself, and I, where I'm just going to go up and do all my things. This is the kind of business that if you want to make a lot of money, help others make some money. That's where you're going to make a lot of money. And for that, you need to create duplication. Look what happens as a goal. Now you move up to 5 people you're personally sponsored. Now you got another one on your left, another one on your right. You know the 4 benchmark we talked about? Okay. We're doing this right now. So now there's 2 copper on the left and 2 copper on the right. So you sponsor one on the left, one on the right, and you did it again. Okay. Now what's going on over here is the difference is you need to have 1 copper under one of those 5. It could be them personally, or it could be anyone that they brought in. Okay. So you need to have the system, and I'll show you some displays for that in a minute. And then you need to have a total of 25
in 3
people.
different lines. So
That's correct.
The gold is 1 copper in 3 different lines. So
I will explain that to
yeah.
later, Tammy, because we have some displays for that one.
Just
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So from there, what happens here is the enrollment tree is you need 25 people. 25 people that are paying their $10 a month. Now you brought in 5. So it's not you necessarily that needs to bring them. You could have bring them all. In fact, some of you have brought a lot more than that. Most of us have done that. In fact, that's what you need to do as you move up in rank. But the point is, and that's what Tammy was saying, is each of those five, underneath under those five, someone has hit copper. And that's what the company looks for. And I'll show you some display that's going to represent this very clearly. Now, to become a platinum, you move up from 5 sponsored to 10 sponsored. Okay. So now you have 10 people personally sponsored. Look at what's going on for the placement. From the gold all the way up to black diamond has not changed. So you don't need to bring new people personally, which we do recommend because you want to move up in the rank. But I'm just saying when it comes to placement, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. But the difference, again, what's going on when you move up to platinum, look what's going on. Now you want to have 4 copper, right? So in other words, you have 1 copper and 4 enrollment tree. And we'll explain to you what that means in a minute. But now your team is moving from 25 to 40. Why is that? Because now people are starting to understand the concept of duplication. So everybody that comes in from that point on are bringing 1 on the left, 1 on the right. You know that multiplies very quickly when that culture starts occurring within your business. And you can see the numbers here as a sapphire, as an emerald. And if you recall, we'll come back to that. And I know many of you have seen us many often. We talked about the 4 benchmark. Sponsor your 10 people. 2 on your left, 2 on your right. Right? And have a minimum of 25. So what we're doing is we're helping you reaching the goal level, but we're preparing you to qualify to be an emerald. So from there, you need, again, more coppers. So that means that if you have 10 people on your team, that's 10 separate enrollment tree. That's what this means. And you have, and someone, it could be someone you brought in or anyone from the people you bring in that have reached copper. So that means that they've run 1 on the left, 1 on the right. It's not hard, folks. It's called duplication. But now what's happening is you need more bodies. But as an emerald, if you do the bare minimum and you have 100 people on your team, you realize if you do the math, with a $10 price tag times 100, that's 1,000. So don't expect to make tens of thousands of dollars when you're an emerald. But you could be an emerald with a lot more than 100 people. So what I'm trying to tell you here, folks, is your rank does not necessarily determine how much money you're going to make. It gives you a benchmark of what the potential you can earn. And if I confuse you for now, don't worry about it. I'm telling you, it's going to make sense as you start getting paid. What's important is the duplication of coppers. And you can see here the only difference from a silver and a black diamond is the amount of people you're sponsored personally. And the fact that, or I should say from a gold to a black diamond, then the placement doesn't change. But now it's the duplication occurring in your team. Okay. So what's happening is the system is looking for coppers within your enrollment tree. And of course, as this duplicates, well, the enrollment tree will start growing. And you'll notice that the 2-team tree, this is a spillover, by the way, it starts creating a separation. So the company is going to say, oh, okay, now you reach a certain level. What we're going to do here, we're going to start recognizing as a ruby, the spillover that will also count, right? For example, if you look here at if I may be transparent here, right? For me to rank up to blue diamond, at the moment, your 2-team include 3,600 users. I need another 1,354. Okay, so what's going on here is how can I get that? Well, this is also my binary that will contribute to that. And if you don't fully get that right now, don't worry about it. Come back to it. Trust me, it will make sense as we keep moving forward. So I just wanted you to understand the rank grid as you move forward. And if I share something that glazed a little bit, just dismiss that. Just remember one thing. You need to sponsor 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And every time someone new comes in, you duplicate that and you will find it as a requirement by default will occur to you because the duplication is happening in your own organization. So Tammy, let's talk about the CAB.
Okay, so the customer acquisition bonus, the CAB. So every single time you sign up somebody for $10, they give you 200%, which is just shy of $20. Let's just round it off to $20. And If they decide to pay for the whole year, which is number two, $99.97 annual, then you'll get 50%. Okay. And number three is 25% on all VIP and any future offerings. And this is a one-time upfront. Okay. So you want to make sure that you get people to see the bigger picture at the very beginning. And number four is the customers. It's just customers. They're not in the tree, and they do not earn income. Okay, so 25% on all personally enrolled customers is what you're going to get upfront, and then every single month. So based on the amount that you have.
Perfect. Now, I just want to address some of the question. I know, Anne, you answered one of them. Thank you for that. Where was this? The customer. Does the customer count? For some reason, I'm not seeing it right now. Okay, here we go. Joe, do the customer count towards a personal enrollment count? No, they do not. Okay. So what happens here, customers, is you get a residual from 2.25% from their order every single month. So if you have, let's say, 20 customers that are paying their $10 a month, if I may round this off here, 25%, $2.50. So you'd be making $50 a month from your customers. Okay, so that's the difference. Some people are not interested in building network marketing opportunity. They just want to back up their stuff. And that's how this works. Okay, now that's the reason why the customers, you constantly get an income every single month. Whereas as an associate, it's a different thing. It's paid one time when you start, but then it falls into the whole profit of the company that feeds the pools and the bonuses that are out there. Let me see what else is there. If I'm an Emerald and I have no spillover, how much should I have in total? Okay, 400, 200, or 400. Well, here's what it says. Let me go back here.
You'll be showing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what it says here is, if, let's say, you don't have any spillover, and folks, again, don't worry about spillover. Okay. The people who wait for spillover tend to have a hard time making money in this business. Spillover, for me, it's a gift, but I don't expect it. I don't wait for it. So I'm just telling you how Tammy and I have been building our business. We've never expect spillover. It's unfortunately, it doesn't really happen that much for us. Okay. Whatever we have is what we brought into the table. So what's going on is that means that you need to bring in 400, your team, your enrollment tree. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. And Lou, you're absolutely correct. If I use the word binary, it's because I've been doing this for decades, and the word binary is kind of burned into my brain. But you're correct. It's a two-team structure, a left team and a right team. You're absolutely correct there. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. So Tammy just explained the CAB. So again, I just want to underline that as an associate, when you bring an associate, these payments are paid one time. The customers are paid on subsequent orders. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's talk about here to reach goal. This is what we teach for you to focus on. Okay, so we can focus on the 4 benchmark. Now here's what happens as a goal. What's happening here is going goal is the first major rank in a company, and it is all based on copper. To go gold, you need to sponsor 5 personally enroll. Okay, 5 people personally enroll and have 25 people in your line of enrollment. Okay, you also need to have 1 copper in 3 separate line of enrollment. So let's look at this here. This is you as a goal. All the green here happens to be your personals. It just happened that one of your personal is a copper. That's where you see a C here. Then after that, on the left here, looking at these 3 folks, there's a copper on the 3rd level. Okay. And here, when you look at over here, there's a copper on your that would be your 1st level. That would be your 2nd level. Okay. So that's what the company, now this copper might not have been this person. It could have been this person over here. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And that's what's really, really interesting, right? So at the end of the day here, folks, is we are suggesting for you to really focus on, again, the duplication process in producing coppers. And again, what is a copper? Well, if you come into this business, you want to earn money, at least bring 1 on the left, bring 1 on the right. That's what we consider as a copper. and that's it. Then you reach the goal level. Now, here's what I want to focus on, and this goes back to you, Lou. You're absolutely correct. Okay. So, for example, we have a 2-team tree and an enrollment tree. Okay. So, when I say the word binary, what I'm talking about is the 2-team tree, left and right. When you look at these numbers over here, this is the people you bring in combined with the spillover. Okay. That's what we call the 2-team tree. Enrollment tree. Look, you see those lines over here? Well, if you bring in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right, which is the minimum requirement to reach the goal level. So you're taking this tree over here and you divide them by your personals only. You exclude everybody else. That's what this represents here. And when we talk about 25 plus within your enrollment tree, it's looking at your 5 personal enrollees and everybody that comes below them. So when we're looking for coppers, within from this person all the way down. And when you find one, qualification met. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Tammy, is there any other
I'll
question?
give you an example here
Sure.
on reaching gold. An example is you signed up Mike, Vincent, Mary, Paul, and Joan. Okay. And often what happens in our business is we have a lot of expectation for everybody to do something. And we all know life gets in the way and not everybody's is experienced. And, some people are slower. Some people want to build it fast. So you're going to have a combination of many people. That's why it's good to bring a lot of people in this business. And then, so for an example here, there's 25 people in the business. You can see all the names. You've brought your 5. Okay. So you got the qualifications of a gold. You need to have 3 coppers within your 5 people. Okay, so that's what it's saying in the plan. In each line, you need 1 copper, but you need 3 different lines with 1 copper in each line. So you can see in Mike's organization, whether you did the work or somebody else did the work, doesn't matter. A lane went copper. So that's your 1. And then Mary is your personal. She ran right from the beginning and she got her copper. That's your 2 qualified coppers. And then your 3rd one is in Joan's organization, which is Ann. So now you got your 3 line of enrollment with 1 copper in those lines. That's the qualification for reaching gold. And then you have your 25 people and 5 personal. So I love this this graph, because it can really help you. And actually, you have, you didn't show me the whole thing, but you have an extra one, and that's fine. But what's important is to start filling out these graphs. There's an example sheet that's blank that you can use yourself if you need to have that visual, because some people need that visual to make this happen. And so it's that simple, you guys. It's really simple. The key is to do the first steps, and then do the second steps, and then do the third steps, which we're going to show you at the end, which are the benchmarks.
Okay. So if you recall earlier, we talked about the different allocation from the 75%. So this is 37% total allocation. So there's a lot of money that actually falls into the cycling. And folks, I know that some of you might have been disappointed at one point from the tier 1 cycle. Rest assured that GotBackup is analyzing and looking at all of this and making adjustment where it's needed. And I think you're going to see an increase in tier 1 cycles. But understand one thing. First of all, what is a cycle? A cycle means that when you look from your position and you look at your right team and your left team, you look at 6 people in your business divided in 4 on one side and 2 on the other. Doesn't matter what side that is. As long as there's 4 on one side, 2 on the other side, and at least 2 of them, which is 1 on either side, is personally sponsored by you. In other words, you got to become a copper. What's the requirement as a copper? Well, that means you have 1 on the left, 1 on the right. That's the minimum requirement to start earning cycles. So for some folks that maybe have been in GotBackup for a period of time. They never lifted a finger. And again, I'm not pointing a finger. I just want to illustrate what's going on in reality here. They never really sponsored anybody. Their upline build their downline left and right, but they never did anything. They haven't contributed in any way, shape, or way to build this company, to build their business. They're just happy to have free money for doing nothing. Well, we're living in a society today, folks, that things have changed. I think we're aware. And to be able to deal with this inflation and this economy situation, everybody has to produce. Everybody has to lift a grain of salt and bring it from one point to another, if you understand my meaning. So that's the logic here. So what happens here is that when you've done the bare minimum by sponsor one on the left, one on the right, whatever amount of people you have in your business, it will start calculating the amount of cycle you qualify for. So every time it sees 4 and 2, one cycle. Another block of 4 and 2, another cycle. Some of you are cycling hundreds of times, and some of you, it's a lot more than that. So if you're a copper, a silver, or a gold, you are in tier 1. Okay? So that's based on the percentage. It's probably at the bottom here. It's based on, let's see here what it says. Yeah, it's based on the company's percentage. Okay? Which comes out of the allocation of 37%. Now, when you move up to tier 2, what happens? Now you became a platinum. I just want to circle back a little bit. As a platinum, what did you need to do to become a platinum? You need to have 10 people personally enroll, 2 on your left, 2 on your right. You need to have 1 copper and 4 different enrollment tree in the total of 40 people in your business. Then you become a platinum. So what the company says, oh, congratulations. What we're doing is we're gonna graduate you from tier 1 to tier 2. So the matching check, or let me rephrase that. I'm going too fast. The income coming from this cycle is greater now because you have a bigger percentage in tier 2 cycle. That's what it means. And as a platinum, sapphire, all the way up to black diamond, you are considered a tier 2 cycles. Okay. So if you go back to the benchmark, what do we suggest for you to do? Sponsor 10 people, have a minimum of 25 people in your enrollment tree, and make sure there's at least 3 copper in your business. So we're preparing you to easily start to graduate to platinum, sapphire, and emerald. Okay, because all of these guys it requires a minimum of 10 people. Okay, all you need to do from here is to start helping others in your personal enrollment tree to hit copper, and then you start moving up in rank. And this is really, really neat here. So as a platinum, now you're moving up from tier 1 to tier 2. You'll notice an increase in check. Some of you that hit platinum recently, you're going to see an increase in your check because the percentage of an increase on the cycle. Now you're moving up to sapphire. Let's go back up again. What is a sapphire? Let's go back here as a sapphire. And okay, again, the same 10. It's all, again, you remember the 4 benchmark? This is what we teach you right from day 1. That's why it's part of the presentation. Okay, now you need 1 more copper out of those 10. But you need 10 more, which if you duplicate the process, it's not really hard to do from 40 to 50.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're a sapphire. Okay, now things becomes very exciting. So let's see. We go back here. Okay, as a sapphire, what's happening is you're starting to earn cycle match. Now that's cool. Why is that? Because if you have people on your team that are duplicating and they're making money because they're cycling, and if they're cycling on tier 1 and tier 2, obviously that will increase your income in the matching check. But you get 25%. So if let's say you sponsored me and I cycle, let's say 100 times, well, 25% of that is going to be added on to your income. And from there, for a maximum of $1,000. So let's say you sponsor someone that is what we call an influencer. Maybe you're not, but maybe you brought in someone who's an influencer and you want to keep up with what they're earning to increase your matching check. Well, you can't get more than $1,000 from that person. And remember, this is for each person. If you're bringing 100 people or 20 people or 30 people or 10 people, You understand what's going on here. You're earning a matching check from each of those personals. And look how significant this becomes. Understand, I want to bring back the point of Dropbox, who has 800 million users. What's going on here is we're at 60,000 members. When GotBackup hits that 100,000 member benchmark, you guys are going to see some amazing magical things happening. So we're about 40,000 away or around that. I'm not sure exactly where we are in the 60,000, but the point here is when we reach 100,000 members, that's when things are going to start changing for all of you. And you may not realize, but in this comp plan, we are all connected. We all benefit from the company's profits. This is exciting. So from there, to go back to the matching check here, if you want to earn more from your personals, because they might be cycling maybe even more than you do, what's happening is the moment you become an emerald, let's go back up. Let's look at what an emerald has to do. I'm doing this, folks, because I'm trying to imprint that into your brain. As an emerald, it's the same 10 people. Join your left, join your right. You need another copper from your 10. You know, Tammy showed you the goal with the different people that are there, and you saw the coppers in, from the person you sponsored down the line somewhere. Well, you need to have 6 lines like that, which is a copper produced. But now you're doubling from 50 to 100. Okay, so this becomes very, very interesting now. So as this keeps growing, now you're an emerald. As an emerald, let's go back to that chart over here. Okay, as an emerald, now you're doubling your check match. So now you can earn up to $2,000 for each individual's matching check, or I should say matching cycle. Okay. So this is really cool. So if I go back to my example and I've cycled, let's say 100 times, then you can earn 50% of that comes in up to a maximum of $2,000. So someone says, well, I'd like to be, how do I make, let's say, over $5,000 a month? Well, first of all, you focus on your own cycles, you focus on your own billing activities. But if you start helping your personals and their cycle increases, do you see what's going on over here? Remember, this is one person. You might have run quite a few. So you're earning 100% of the cycles up to a maximum of $7,500, right? So that's when you become a diamond. The potential is there, folks. It's absolutely monstrous how big this can become. So 37% from the 75%. So when the company turns around and makes 100 million or 1 million, whatever that amount may be, just remember 37% is allocated into these pools. That means for the same amount of work, your income will increase because the company's profit increases. It's that simple. So we just did month 1 of this new comp plan, and some folks are getting so impatient because they want to pay their mortgage on month 1. You have to understand that we need to build the foundation before we can start collecting. So the key right now is to move up your rank. So as a company grows and the business grows and people come on board and the software improves and everything else, prepare to start cashing in by positioning yourself to start earning. That's what the comp plan is all about. It's so powerful. Folks, another point before I shift to the next point here that you need to understand is many companies, network marketing companies right now are falling like flies. Why is that? Because they don't have these kind of profit pool sharing. It's a big difference when you deal with a compensation plan with profit pool sharing, because as the company's profit increases, some companies have hit billions of dollars in sales. Do the math. How is this going to be impacted in this compensation plan? It is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. And I'll show you why in a minute here. You think this is exciting. It gets a lot bigger than that. So let's carry on. So Tammy, you want to touch on the up to the 10 generation?
You go ahead with this one, Chris.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens here is the reason why we want you to become a gold associate. Now, can you see if there's any questions that I missed there? Let me know if there are. Okay. So up to 10 generation of gold plus on both right and left side. So what's happening? Sometimes you say, God, I have this big leg and it'd be so nice if I can benefit from this big side. Well, let me tell you how that could match for you. Okay. So just bear with me. So what's going on over here is we talked about copper, silver, gold. As a gold, You remember, you are right now, you're receiving the cab with your customer acquisition bonus. You're receiving tier one on cycling, but you're also starting to receive generational bonus. Okay. It may not seem like a lot, 2.5 it may not seem like a lot, 2.5%. But folks, when you start adding volume of growth, it's going to be mind-boggling. But on month one, you may not see that right away. But on month 10, and when you're dealing with 4 years, 5 years of maturity, and you have all these $10 into your right side and left side, you can start collecting on that now. So you notice as a platinum, it's also 3 levels. I'll tell you what I mean by when I mean levels, I mean generation. Okay. When you become a sapphire, now you're going to 4 generation. As an emerald, 5 generation, all the way up to 10 generation when you are a blue, red, and black diamond. So let's carry on with this. Now that we understand the benchmark, okay, let's go into some examples. Okay. Now, bear with me here, folks. So when you see these goals over here, these are generation. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. When it said 3 generation, okay, we're talking about 1, 2, and 3. So what happens is the company looks at all the, and this is right side and left side, by the way. This is doing one line for you just as a representation, but this is counting your right team and your left team, and I'll show you that in a minute. But what's happening here is you have 4 associates here, you have 11 here, and you have 5 here. So you're getting 2.5%. Now, for the untrained eye, you look at that, well, that's not a lot of money. 2.5% from $10, you know, it's what is that going to give me? Okay, I can appreciate from that point of view. But let's carry on, okay? What's going on over here? And you can read these details, but that's really what I'm explaining to you here. Here's an organization of a 2-team structure, okay? So this is you. And you see here that you're collecting on 3 levels. So whenever you see a green circle or one of the blue circles, like the yellow with the green around and a blue, these are all the people that are ordering from your position down. It all adds up and adds up and adds up. You know, when you look at, for example, Netflix, when they started at $7 a month for their service and they hit hundreds of billions of dollars in sales, it's because of the amount of volume of people worldwide that were becoming members for that $7 a month. So I'm trying to get you to see the big picture here. So at the beginning, when you have a few people on your team, it may not seem like a lot to the untrained eye, but the visionary can see what's going on here because things are not going to stay the same. They're going to keep evolving. So all the people from that are between these two here, all these people over here, all the way down, all the people down, look at the left side here, can go all the way to infinity if there's no other goals that are there. And the moment there's another goal, that's a level 4, that stops for you. Okay? It stops it over here. But over here, it counts. Here, number 2, you see the arrow here? Everybody there. It counts everybody. Down here. You look at this side, all this entire leg. And whatever goes on below that, if there's no other goals, they all count for you. And then here, there's another goal over here. Okay? So all of this, it will keep adding to 2.5%, and it totals up and totals up. I was actually really surprised how big this number got because of the volume of people that are ordering their $10 a month. So folks, you got to be patient and stay the course. It's kind of like as a farmer that is planting their seeds, right? When it comes down to maturity, when the crops are ready for harvesting, right? That's when a fortune is made. Well, if you're starting to plant your seed and you just have a couple 10 seeds planted, keep in mind that you need a bit of more time for maturity and growth. But this becomes quite significant. Now let's carry on here. Now we're talking about dynamic compression. So when we look at the difference between when you look over here from generation bonus and the dynamic compression, all it means is for you to move up in rank. Okay. So what's going on over here is, let's keep moving forward here. Let me just check. Where were we? Okay, we were right here. So let's go back to dynamic compression. So what happens here is a goal is a platinum, right? You get generation bonus. But now As a Sapphire, you start kicking in the dynamic compression. That means you go beyond the 3 levels. Now you're at 4. So let's look at the representation over here. Okay. So over here, let's say that you happen to be a gold. That's you. You have 3 levels. This over here, 2, and 3. So you're collecting everything in here, everything in here, and everything in here. It stops at this person. All of that belongs to you. Now remember, there's a 2-team structure. It's just kind of showing you a representation from based on your rank. You become a Sapphire. Okay, you're over here. Now you're moving up a level. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4. It stops over here. So you're collecting on all of this. Now you become an emerald. Okay, an emerald, you're down to 5 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It stops over here. All of this, it starts accumulating at 2.5%, 2.5%, and accumulate. So as you're building your team, this is binary or enrollment. That's the total amount of people. Okay, and there's more examples here that I'm just going to share with you here. And of course, you can take the time to read this a little later. Now, what's happening here is let's kind of summarize this page here. So you happen to be a goal. This is you. You have 1, 2, and 3. So everything up to this level here, all of that counts when it counts the bodies for the 2.5%. You become a Sapphire, 1, 2, 3, 4. You go all the way up to here. All of that counts for you. Okay. Now, as you move up, for example, I'm using this as a triple diamond. It's 9 level. Let's go back here. Now, 9 level. Okay. So what's going on is all the people, remember, this is left side and right side here. That's just a representation to show the rank. All these bodies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to here. All of this you are collecting. So as you move up in rank, as this company grows, as the membership increases, as the software improves and keeps adding more features, and there's more stuff going on here, you keep adding to the amount of bodies that they keep adding to 2.5%. You have to think like an investor, not like a consumer. Is as this grows to 2.5%, you might be surprised in the future on how much income this could be for you as this mature. And that's the compression bonus here. Okay. So that's where it becomes the dynamic compression, right? The difference between generation is the dynamic compression. It's kind of generation. It just gives you, it's like your arm is expanding and your reach is growing further and further and further and further. Okay. Here's another example over here, right? So you as a goal, 1, 2, 3. Okay. As a Sapphire, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the line stops over here. It touches, but it really stops over here. Okay. So that's all the people here. And as you move up again in rank, it just goes up all the way here. So I'm kind of repeating, but it's just to kind of bring into perspective how powerful this is, my folks. Sometimes people are looking at 2.5% as a small amount. Folks, when you start multiplying this factor, in my previous company, folks, and before, I've seen some hundreds of thousands of members in there. Hundreds of thousands of members in there after 17 years. What's going to happen here? This is month 1. That's why I keep underlining the potential. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, so if your eyes are glazing over right now, don't worry about it. Again, you can always go back and you can always, follow your rank. And as you grow in the rank, and what are the next things that you need to do to qualify? Don't get yourself overwhelmed and with the whole compensation plan, because that will, it'll create you to stop doing what you need to do to build it. And at the end of the day, keep sponsoring, keep helping your people get to copper. It's that simple. You'll go up in the ranks by doing the simple things. So stay focused on the simple stuff. And this one happens to be the rank bonus pool. As I said earlier, that one had 9% in that pool. So the 9% is divided from Sapphire to black diamond 1% in each. So all the sapphires that are qualified, that whatever that amount is in there, the 1% will be divided by all the sapphires. It'll be divided by all the emeralds. And as you can see, there'll be less and less in the higher levels, so the income will be more. So the key is always to grow into your ranks and get into those ranks where you're helping a lot of people hitting these levels. Like once you get your people to gold, do whatever it takes to get them to platinum, sapphire, emerald, so they start getting extra bonuses. Okay, and absolutely correct. Just focus on duplicating coppers. If you've got everybody building coppers, everybody grows in the ranks, and you're going to see the ones that are the most powerful organizations are the organizations that are focused on the fundamentals, which I'm going to share with you at the end. So it's that simple, you guys.
And Tammy, I wanted on the line again, the 9% total. Remember, we talked about that same 75%, 9%.
Mm-hmm.
They are 9 position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is you're looking at this rank pool. And as Tammy stated, the Sapphire, there will be a lot more people than they are as a triple diamond.
Of course.
I'll be transparent with you. There was 1 triple diamond last month. So what happens is that entire pool was 1 person who got paid. I'd love to have some competition, folks. I need you to become triple diamond. What this does, it increases the company's
black diamond.
It increased the company's profitability, and our pool is going to be divided among the people qualified as a triple diamond. I'm just giving you an example from the reality of what I've saw on month 1. So, folks, understand what's going on over here. This is really cool. So that's another added bonus. So that's why when people say, well, you know, I kind of missed the 25% matching check from the people I was bringing in, you're missing the big picture, folks, because as this grows, the company is sharing their profits with you, with the people that are actually helping others grow their business. That's simple. And as Ann stated, folks, don't feel that you need to understand all of this. The reason why Tammy and I chose to do this morning is we have a lot of seasoned networkers that are coming on board. And they need to understand this. I did a training, a presentation a couple of days ago to a professional networker, and he says, "Wow, this is pretty impressive." But when you're new at this, I can appreciate it may not seem as attractive at the moment. But just trust the people that have been in this business for a long time. There's a lot of income here possibilities. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here.
Further, Chris, City asked the question, Sapphire and above the 9%, is it calculated on the turnover in your entire organization or the turnover in the company? It's the company, a percentage of overall, that 9% payout overall is put into a pool just for the people who are qualified for the rank bonus pool.
Correct. So this is what I meant earlier.
Yeah.
Is as the company's enriching, we're enriching ourselves. It's like buying equities and the value's increasing. Your value's increasing. It's kind of that similar logic if you want. Okay. So it's not based on just your effort. It's the combined effort of all the entire company for all Sapphires. The more you work, the more the company profits. The more they profit, the bigger that 9% will represent. If you
know what I really like, you guys, we're kind of going outside of the comp plan here for a sec. But you know, the company at the end of the month, when you go into your back office, it has different types of upsells of, you know, people having an extra terabyte or whatever it is, they're offering co-op. All of that income goes in that month in helping the pools to be bigger. So support that, you guys. Get the VIP package. Start learning how to use the VIP package to build your business online. Like, these are the things that Chris and I have always done in building businesses, is to purchase what the company offers so that we could help create a bigger income for the company, which is a bigger income in payouts for all of you, all of us, right? So support this, you guys. That's what it's all about. Every time the company launches something, we always get it. Always, always, always.
Yeah, I totally agree, Lou. And this is exactly what I shared with some professionals. I have been in the industry, maybe not as much as you, Lou. For me, it's about 28 years full time. But Tammy and I have seen millions of dollars coming to the table over time, right? To be
Mhm.
honest with you folks, $1 million is not that much when you're talking decades, but we've made millions. That's the reason why we're going to Florida in the winter and all of these things. It's not to brag upon you, it's to impress upon you that this income came from the pursuit of network marketing. And the fact here, folks, is I have never seen a plan that is robust and generous in the same time. And because we're on month one, and I know people need money now to pay their mortgages and buy their food and put gas in their car, and they're under pressure, and that's where the pressure comes in. But folks, what the meaning here of our training is: don't be distracted by the white noise. Don't be distracted by the amateurs that don't understand network marketing. I understand that science really, 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 really well. I've lived through it. Tammy and I have lived through it for years. And the reason why we're focused, laser focus, is we know what we have. You have to know what you have. And yes, there's always going to be little hiccups up here and hiccup there and a little objection here, a little challenge. That's life. In fact, that's how we get better. And if you stay focused on this, I'm telling you, Tammy and I have not stopped for 18 months. It's one of the reasons why we tend to be we've done well. We haven't stopped. We suggest for you to stay focused. It will serve you well. Let me give you an example here as a Ruby. Okay. Now, don't feel like you need to understand this right now, but I'm just going to read it out and try to make it as simple as possible. Right. A qualified Ruby or higher can earn bonus on their larger leg team. The system calculates the lesser leg volume, which determines the payout percentage, this over here, plus the multiplier, this over here. Okay. And so, for example, the formula is lesser leg volume times the payout. And then from there, payout percentage and time the strong leg multiplier. Here's an example. Let's say that a blue diamond with 75,000 on the lesser leg volume, okay, times what we talk here, you are, what do we say? Blue diamond. So you 2% over here, that's where the 2% comes from, times the strong leg multiplier. This is the formula right here, okay? So that amount, if the lesser leg volume, okay, X, time the large leg multiplier is greater than the larger leg revenue. So let's say that amount that you end up with, it's bigger than the big leg that you have, then the bonus is calculated by the greater leg value, the revenue, times the payout revenue. Okay. So otherwise, the bonus is calculated by the multiplier lesser, like we just talked about. So in other words, what's going on is you would take the bigger leg. Okay. If that calculation happens to be bigger than your strong side, okay, then what you do, you just forget all of this and you just apply that number by the payout percentage. And that would be your income. Okay. That will be the bonus that will occur. And my recommendation here, folks, practice this. Visualize. I had to do it a few times to visualize this, but it makes complete sense. Okay. This is absolutely fantastic. But here's the thing here, folks. Tammy, why don't we end with this here? Go ahead.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the strategy, right? It's all about keeping it simple. I like what Randy put together with the 4 benchmarks. It is copper driven. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is enroll 1 left, 1 right. It's that simple. 1 left, 1 right. And the second step is to enroll 1 more left, 1 more right. So you got your 2 and 2, which is the qualifier, as you see, going up the ranks. And then 3 is to build a user enrollment tree. That's everybody you personally sponsored and what they bring to the table by helping them get copper. Once you have 25 plus, then you're going to be qualified going to gold rank. And the next benchmark is to focus on getting 10. And honestly, you guys, it's not difficult. It's not like one of those products where, you know, people have to spend a couple $100 a month. It's such a simple thing. And that's why this is growing so fast. I don't know about you guys, but every single day we wake up in the morning, there are so many people enrolling. Why? Because everybody needs data storage. They want the best value. In today's market, it's all about value, right? People don't have the extra money to pay extra for a lot of things. So when they see value, they want it. And this is valuable. Okay. Everybody uses data storage. Everybody has devices. So it's easy if you get out there and talk to people. And the key is to constantly bring people to the table. When you look at those charts, don't just focus on qualifying for the minimal of what you need on that personal rank. Keep focusing on bringing people to the table, because you don't know what people are going to do. Okay, so you don't know what they're going to do today or tomorrow. Some people are slow, some people are fast, right? Based on their environment, right? How many kids they have in the household, if they're taking care of the elderly, whatever's going on. Everybody has different situations in their household or their jobs or whatever it is. So the more people you bring to the table and help the ones that are hungry enough to qualify, then those ones are going to grow up in the ranks and you grow. Okay, so focus on who's committed and who's willing to run, and keep bringing people in as well. Don't stop bringing people in.
I totally agree. Folks, I like, Richard, what you're saying. It's team oriented, it's the way it should be. The philosophy is what builds empire. You're absolutely dead on. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The reason why companies are having a very hard time right now is because they're so afraid of losing their leaders that they keep feeding, and we don't want them to leave. We don't want them to leave. But it's based on the compensation plan that was designed in the way things were done in the 80s. Things are different.
Mm-hmm.
People can't afford buying $1,000 item or a $5,000 item or even a $700 or $800 item. It's very difficult for people to do, especially when you start going international. It's very hard. This is an international company currently in 140 countries out of 195 countries around the world. The reason why is because everybody can afford. It's a service that everybody needs. But understand something is people need to make money, but they can't afford spending a lot of money to make money. In my career, I have never seen such a low entry point with an income potential that has this kind of potential. And because you're dealing with an item of $10 a month, often people do not take this seriously. And because you reach a pin level, but there's no duplication in your business, again, don't be discouraged because your income is not there. Understand that you've reached a benchmark for you to start collecting now. Now let's start getting to work by getting people to start duplicating the process. And I know that many of you are getting phone calls and messages and complaints for some this and not, that's not enough, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day here, folks, stay the course. Understand the big picture with what's being offered over here. And I'm not kidding. You are going to reap the rewards. But it's not going to come in by sponsoring 10 people. You understand what I'm meaning? It's by sponsoring 10 people, help these 10 people also start sponsoring their 10 people, and keep doing that. Make sure people are seeing this kind of information, these kind of trainings. This is how you're going to grow and earn an incredible lifestyle. That's what we're talking about here, folks. This company with the compensation plan cannot bankrupt the company because it's all based on profit sharing, folks. The only thing that is static is the customer acquisition bonus. That's cool. So for you, you want to make money right now, bring people to the table, pay for the year. And there's other projects, the VIP. I know Tammy and I talk about it all the time. And there's other things. I had a conversation with Joel. He was excited about some things that are coming on board. Folks, the future is bright. Stay the course. Don't be distracted by the amateur out there that keep trying to get you distracted by whatever new deals are popping up like popcorn on a daily basis. Stay focused. You got something good here. So we'll end on this note, folks. Remember that you can go to your back office of GotBackup. You have all the presentations that are listed throughout the week for all different languages. We have Italian, we have French, we have English, and I think Spanish is coming. Maybe it's already up there. And just make sure your people go to these events. I know there's many leaders, right? There's amazing leaders in Africa that are doing presentation regularly. There's presentations that are taking place in Canada, in the United States. And again, it's on Zoom, right? So it doesn't really matter where it's the time zone that's more relevant for you. But the point is in the language, of course. Take advantage of those. Put as much people in front of this information and keep sharing this business. And folks, I'm telling you, this community is going to be very wealthy. So have yourself a wonderful rest of your weekend. I know it's a long weekend for many. So have a good time with your families in the process. Just talk about 6 terabytes for the price of 2.
And it's the last day for the August rush, you guys.
Oh,
today you got to
that's
stay
right.
focused. You
Last
can
push.
celebrate tomorrow, but today you got to stay focused.
Yes,
And,
we're getting some people
yeah,
raise
lots
some
of
cash prizes.
follow-ups, lots of new business.
Okay, everybody, have a good one. Bye for now. Take care.